This is GWN7 Local News with Noel Brunning and Shauna Willis.
The tragic end to the search for a man missing in the Great Southern. Premier's warning, life for the unvaccinated is about to get much more difficult. Jobs to go at sawmills as the state government cuts contracts.
And from north to south of WA, I'll have all the latest on your weather forecast.
It's now 5:30 and we're live across Western Australia.
Good evening. First tonight, there's been a tragic end to the search for a missing man in the Great Southern. Search crews found the body of Perth man Mohammed Ferdiensa on Mount Tilbury last night and recovered it this morning.
A tragic end to a two-day search for missing Perth man Mohammed Ferdiensa, not the conclusion searchers and his family were hoping for.
They're understandably quite shocked. My understanding is though that they're accepting of it and they're doing quite well in the circumstances.
Police say Mr Ferdiensa went missing around 11:20 on Friday morning when his car along with camping equipment was found by a member of the public in the Mount Tilbury car park, a trip his family say was unusual.
This is not one of his regular pastimes. We're led to believe that this is the first time he's actually ventured on a camping or hiking expedition.
An extensive land and air search was launched yesterday. Around 30 SES crews and 10 police officers scoured the mountain while a drone and police helicopter searched from the sky.
Very, very steep slopes, unstable rocks, thick bushland. To say it was a difficult search is an understatement.
Mr Ferdiensa was located on the other side of this peak around 5 o'clock yesterday evening, along with a backpack full of provisions he had been carrying. Police say he had wandered away from the main track.
We don't know the full circumstances. There'll be an extensive investigation that we'll conduct on behalf of the coroner. We're hoping that that investigation will identify the reasons why he left the path.
Police now urging tourists to the region to take precautions after another Perth man plunged to his death while climbing in West Cape Howe last Tuesday.
Prepare for yourself for any adventures that you might want to undertake. There's a lot of open source material on the city's website and the government website, tourism website, that alerts people to the level of preparation that they really need if they're going to come and adventure in the Great Southern.
Elise Holden, GWN 7 News.
Unvaccinated West Australians are being warned life will become very difficult once our borders open in February. The move comes as 5 to 11-year-olds were made eligible for the vaccine today, with concerns we won't have enough supply to meet the demand.
As the clock ticks closer to February 5, when our hard border is torn down and COVID inevitably creeps in, life for the unvaccinated is about to look very different.
If you're unvaccinated in the Pilbara and you leave, the chances are you won't be able to go home.
And that's not all.
They won't be able to go to the football, they won't be able to work in a whole range of industries, they won't be able to go to concerts, restaurants, bars, cafes, pubs, fitness centres, gyms.
A new milestone in our vaccine rollout today as 5 to 11-year-olds became eligible. More than 13,000 bookings have been made, but some may miss out, with a number of GPs and pharmacies still waiting for additional jabs from the Commonwealth.
We know that many parents will want to take their children to GPs, like they do for other childhood immunisations. But I want to assure all parents that our state clinics in Perth and across regional WA are there and available to be used.
Meanwhile, rapid antigen tests are now legal in WA, with calls from the Rural Doctors Association for both state and federal governments to make sure supply is spread evenly across the state.
It's really important because we know that the PCR testing for those remote communities take a lot longer than those in Perth.
A new state government app to allow people to check into venues and prove their vaccination status will be launched tomorrow. Tom Marlowe, GWN 7 News.
3 new cases of COVID-19 were recorded overnight in WA. All were already in isolation. Meanwhile, our vaccination rates continue to climb. Currently, 93.9% of us have had one vaccination, 86.3% are double jabbed, while just 14.5% have had the booster shot. And people have been turned away from clinics because of the surge in demand, with the Health Department encouraging everyone to make a booking. A young man has been killed just weeks after his 18th birthday on his family's Wirramul River retreat in the Gascoyne. It's understood Archer Stedman was preparing for a joint birthday party marking his 18th and his father's 50th when he was struck by a solar panel. It's believed no one else was injured in the accident. Police say the teen's death is not being treated as suspicious and that a report will be prepared for the coroner. WA's timber industry has once again hit out at the state government after revelations some contracts won't be fulfilled this year. Several sawmills have been told they'll receive only half their contracted tonnage, making job cuts likely.
With no consultation, this September announcement banning WA native forest logging by 2023 sent shockwaves through WA's timber industry.
Forests, the trees, the creatures that live within them, the ecosystems will be saved.
Fast forward 4 months and WA timber mills have been dealt another blow.
Well, in recent days, Tom, they have been told to expect some of them about half what they would normally get from the Forest Products Commission in terms of logs for 2022. Some of them as little as a third of their allocation.
Despite the Premier committing to honour contracts until the end of 2023.
What has happened since that statement is that the timber businesses have been told that the timber volumes that they can expect in 2022 will fall short of those contractual obligations.
Shocked, disappointed, flabbergasted.
It'll mean jobs will go, with impacted sawmills also hit with a threat that any attempts to sue the Forest Product Commission over the breach of contract will result in them being excluded from the industry's compensation scheme.
The Minister for Forestry, who's wrongly named, Dave Kelly is actually the Minister for shutting down forestry, has not given any indication as to why. The mills are in the dark.
Why he'd want to crush and kill a perfectly good, well-managed, sustainable industry producing products that we all use, whether that be Jarrah or Marry fine furniture, right through to a simple bag of firewood, I just don't know.
Forestry Minister Dave Kelly wasn't available for interview today. Instead, a state government spokesperson told GWN7 News the Native Forestry Transition Group is developing a $50 million assistance program for businesses and workers, which will be finalised soon. Saying since 2014, timber mills have requested an average of 90,000 tonnes per year, and the volume requested by industry for 2022 was in excess of 160,000 tonnes, a 78% increase.
What they're seeking is the upper limit, but what they will receive is consistent with what they've received over the last 7 years.
Tom Marlow, GWN 7 News.
An iconic tourist attraction in Margaret River has reopened to the public after a bushfire recently ripped through the area. Mammoth Cave in Borenup was bustling with tourists today, even though visitor numbers generally are down because of the blaze.
It's been just over a month since a raging bushfire in Borenup tore through almost 8,000 hectares of land. The blaze, which police believe was deliberately lit near Mammoth Cave, forcing businesses to shut. Mammoth Cave closing for more than 2 weeks.
It was a bit of a shock. We were just gearing up for the busy period, the Christmas, New Year's period, and suddenly, along came the fire.
But after some safety checks, the cave was given the green light to reopen.
The cave itself wasn't impacted at all. These caves have been through hundreds of fires during their lives. The response over the phones and on social media was pretty quick. A lot of inquiries about whether we were open. We just said, yep, we're on, come on down.
Which is exactly what these tourists have done.
It would have been devastating to lose something like this, absolutely.
To be able to give back to the community after the big bushfires and stuff, and nice place to take the kids and go for a walk.
But despite that demand, the fire has damaged overall visitation numbers.
For some operators that are actually located in the park, so you've got Boranup Gallery, Mammoth Cave, they are seeing that their visitation has been much reduced over this period of time because people aren't making their way through that fire-affected area and they're not sure what businesses are open.
We would generally have maybe 400, 500, 600 people a day going through. More recently, after the fire, we've had maybe 300 or 400 going through. So still some pretty decent demand.
What we would seek to do is reassure people that, yes, those businesses are open and ready to welcome visitors and they can have a wonderful experience.
Meanwhile, police have issued a fresh plea to help them find Jordan Marshall, who was last seen at the Mammoth Cave campsite the day the fire started. His car was found burnt out nearby, which officers say adds to their concerns. Brianna in Ferreira, GWN 7 News.
Shauna Willis is back with us now after a little summer break. She's got the latest on the weather. A warm start to the week, Shauna.
Yeah, thanks, Noel. The summer holiday weather still in full swing for much of the south at least. Warm easterlies as well, with a trough sitting down here. You can see through that west coast. A high sitting well off here to south of the state, directing those winds north. We have a broad trough from the Pilbara right through to the interior. A handful of seasonal falls overnight, otherwise dry and warm to hot. 40 degrees in Wyndham today. Kununurra and Derby both saw 39. Newman in the Pilbara was our official hotspot today, 43 degrees, and that was around 2:30 p.m. Karratha, a nice warm 36. Southerleys and 31 for Carnarvon, but high temperatures further down that west coast. Geraldton saw 35 degrees. Meekatharra reached 37 degrees, while Kalgoorlie went from an overnight low of 13 into that 29. Gusty winds further south. We saw 28 for Bunbury, Busselton 26. Now it continues cooler to the south coast. Albany, a nice 22. Our overnight cold spot was Bridgetown, 8 degrees there. 22 the top today for Esperance, and reaching 30 at Southern Cross. Here's rainfall up until 9 this morning. 12 millimetres, the heaviest that was at Mount House airstrip here. That's in the Kimberley. We also had a patch to the far west and south coast, 3 millimetres at Windy Harbour. And since 9, it has been dry right across the state. And that sunny weather is set to continue for much of the week, at least to the south. Your weather is coming up.
Thanks, Shauna. Coming up next, pollsters say WA looks set to bring down ScoMo with predictions he'll lose 4 seats here in the next election.
Stay in touch 24/7 at gwn7.com.au.
In breaking news this evening, a missing elderly couple in the Midwest have now been found. The pair in their 70s were reported missing to police yesterday morning, but were this afternoon discovered by their car that was bogged about 100 kilometres from Meekatharra. The man accused of kidnapping 4-year-old Carnarvon girl Cleo Smith will face court later this month on a new charge of assaulting a public officer. Terence Darrell Kelly is due to face Carnarvon Magistrates Court on January 24, charged with Cleo's abduction as well as the new assault charge. He's been behind bars in Casuarina Prison since his dramatic arrest in November. High-profile federal MP Ken Wyatt looks set to lose his seat in the next election if the latest poll predictions are accurate. Utting Research carried out the poll on the 5th of January. It showed 75% of voters were satisfied with Mark McGowan's performance as state premier, but that the Liberals look set for a hammering, with the poll predicting a 10% swing against the federal coalition. That would mean the government would lose the WA seats of Swan, Pearce, Tangney and Hasluck, which is currently held by Bunbury's Ken Wyatt, who's the Minister for Indigenous Australians. WA cattle farmers have been glued to reports from New South Wales about a cow giving birth to triplets. The incredibly rare event happened near Port Macquarie, which has made farming headlines across the country.
It's something most farmers can say they've never seen before. Triplets Levi, Audrey and Olive were delivered on the Trotters farm 2 weeks ago.
Well, I've been in the cattle industry for 70 years, and it's the first time that I've run across it, either our own cattle or in the Hastings area. I've never seen it before.
For the Trotters, the triplets came as a complete surprise. When Mum started to labour early, they suspected twins. Multiples were confirmed when the first of the trio was born small, but 1.5 hours after he entered the world, it was obvious 2 more were on the way and Mum would need some help.
We're both trying to be born at once, and that was the problem. So Being so small, it wasn't hard to push one back out of the road and deliver one and then just deliver the other quite easily.
Despite their somewhat complicated entrance, the trio were doing well.
At 2 weeks old, they're doing fine. They're very energetic, and each morning when I feed the cow some grain, the calves jump around and they're really lively now. Small but good.
In another couple of weeks, Mum will struggle to have enough feed and Margaret and Ross will have to step in to help. But for now, Mum's doing all of the hard work.
I don't think she bothers counting. She just lets them do their own thing. She makes sure they're okay, and they feed when they're ready.
The triplets were named after students at their granddaughter's school. Samantha Crowe, GWN 7 News.
Up next in sport, the Eagles and Dockers men hit the training track, while the season is about to get tricky for the women. Despite missing many of their top flight players, the Perth Scorchers last night continued their winning ways over the Sixers. And with just 3 games left before the finals begin, they may have to rely on some lesser known players to get the job done.
No Marsh, Munro, Inglis, Richardson, Mills or Berendorf was no problem for the Scorchers, notching up a second win against their long-time foes.
Oh my word.
Perth was sent in to bowl and Dunsborough's Lance Morris set the tone early, bowling 5 dots before giving away any runs. WA batter Josh Philippe recaptured some form on his way to 32.
Oh, nicely timed. He got into that nicely.
The Sixers started to gain momentum before Ashton Agar struck twice.
Oh, it's a beauty from Ashton Agar.
He and fellow spinners Hatzoglu and Turner dried up the runs, although some late hitting from Dan Christian set a target of 152 for the Scorchers.
4 Yorker goes wrong.
This could be a no ball, I reckon.
It was a slow start in the run chase, and with a weakened batting lineup, they looked in trouble at 3 for 44. But it was a double dose of Ashton, what Agar did with the ball, Turner topped with the bat.
Oh, Turner gets a ramp out again, and it's beautifully played.
A 91-run partnership between him and Aaron Hardy put the Scorchers in the box seat. Less than 2 weeks after starring in the Southern Smash T20 comp in Albany, local replacement player Chris Saberg steered his new team home.
Oh, he squeezed it through. Well played.
It gives the Scorchers some breathing room atop the ladder. They play the Melbourne Stars tomorrow, who tonight are welcoming up to 10 players back after recovering from COVID. Lockie Byrne, GWN 7 News.
The Eagles and Dockers men's teams are back, ramping up into the pre-season mode, with a number of draftees hoping to make an early impact with their new teams. And a young gun from Manjimup has shown them how it's done with an impressive first game in the AFLW.
Ahead of another season, questions have been raised about the Eagles' ageing list. The evergreen Josh Kennedy from Northampton was running laps today, while Geraldton's Liam Ryan looked sore in his first session this year. But the future looks a little brighter with the Eagles' first-round pick on the track.
I think my fitness is where I'd like it to be at the moment. Ran par on my 2K the other day. Body's feeling really good, knees perfectly fine. I'm feeling really good at the moment.
Thought to be a halfback flanker on draft night, Chesser has spent his first few days working alongside the midfield group.
But asking a lot of questions of, I guess, a variety of different people as well. So Gaffy and stuff, and Shuey as well, inside, outside, just asking a lot of questions of them, because if there's any situation that they've probably seen everything over their time.
Meanwhile, at the Dockers, Busselton's Jai Amos had his first full training session and impressed with his aerial skills. Late Grey star Nat Fyfe has embraced his new role as sensei, today rolling out a Mr Miyagi-inspired look. The team will be taking inspiration from the women's side, who are still undefeated in Western Derbies.
Game. The siren greets the Dockers for their 4th straight win.
Manjimump's Dana East is likely to keep her spot in the team, impressing in her debut with 9 touches and 5 tackles. Both the Eagles and Dockers will hit the road this weekend. Freo set to play their next 4 games away, the Eagles 5. Lockie Byrne, GWN 7 News.
Shauna Willis is back next with a look at the weather forecast and then ahead on 7 News. Extraordinary video. The heart-stopping moment, a pilot is pulled from the path of an oncoming train.
Tonight's weather report brought to you by DFES. How fireproof is your plan?
Everyone, and best wishes tonight to Judy Hines of Australind. She's celebrating her 80th birthday. Well done. Now to the forecast, a little change in our weather over the next few days at least. South, we are looking at mostly sunshine, although fresh easterlies for some. Maximums just a little warmer as a trough sits down here, that west coast. Very seasonal up through our north though today. Showers and or tomorrow, gusty thunderstorms over the Kimberley, Pilbara and also northeast Gascoyne. Then ahead to Wednesday, and the forecast is much the same. A broad trough to the north should bring more of those thundery showers and warm temperatures, while south, the west coast trough should be moving just a little slowly east. Our daytime maximums will certainly be warming up a little further. Thursday, it's wet season heat to our far north. Showers and thunderstorms once more over the Kimberley, the North Interior and for the Pilbara. South, no rain. A mix of wind conditions though, and temperatures will start to just cool off a little. Friday, we have a high building along the south coast. Onshore winds may bring a light shower or two to patches of that south coast, but it's otherwise dry and sunny for the southern half. Expect thundery showers though for the Kimberley, also for the Pilbara, and some very warm temperatures tomorrow. 43 in Wyndham, for Broome and Karratha. It is a mostly sunny top there of 35. A late storm though for Marble Bar, 43, but clear skies in Exmouth, 23 tonight before a top there of 38. Very hot with extreme fire dangers into the inland Gascoyne and central west tomorrow. 45 in Gascoyne Junction. We're looking at 39 for Geraldton, reaching 43 there for Morawa. It's a little warmer south tomorrow, reaching 33 for both Collie and Busselton. Partly cloudy but windy. 23 is the top here tomorrow for Albany. Further inland, Wagens looking at 31. And sunny with easterlies right into the wheat belt. 38 for both Merredin and Southern Cross. Cloudy to the southeast coast tomorrow. Ravensthorpe 29, 25 for Esperance, and a warm Tuesday as well for the Goldfields. Kalgoorlie at 35, 41 there in Leinster. Boating conditions for you tomorrow. Winds strengthening to reach around about 20 to 25 knots, certainly here off Ningaloo and also that Gascoyne coastline. Hazardous conditions off the west coast. Strong wind warnings have been issued for both Bunbury and Lewin coasts, and expect some east southeasterlies reaching up to 25 knots for waters off that southern coastline. 29 with showers for Melbourne tomorrow. Adelaide, they get a nice hot 39, while Perth is forecast a mostly sunny 37. Good night.
Thank you, Shauna. That is GWN 7 News for this Monday evening. We're back later with updates. For news at any time, head to our website, gwn7.com.au, or follow us on social media. 7 News from Perth is next from us. Good night, Western Australia.